Greetings, everybody. Nino the Mystic here, and welcome to another Sunday Live. This week, we have a really good show for you. Another Occult RoundTable with Bill Duvendack and E.A. Koetting is here. Welcome, guys. How are you guys doing tonight?
Doing good. How you doing?
Good. Yeah. It's been, 6 months since we did the last one there, and we were just chatting earlier there that, boy, a lot of stuff has been happening here. In that time, we've had all of the eclipses, everything, all of that stuff is all done now, and here we are. We're still here, so we survived it. So that's a good plus right there. But yeah, interesting times though, eh?
Very interesting. No, there's a lot going on the planet, and I always, as above, so below. If there's a hurricane going on, there's something going on energetically, and not necessarily. I'm not going to say that one is causing the other, but there's definitely things happening at every level when we can see all the disruption, anything that's going on in the world, as above, so below. There's and within, as within, so without. So.
Well, I think you pretty much hit the nail on the head. Before we went live, we were talking about how astrologically right now it's a window of opportunity. So those windows are what's allowing that to come through. A lot of people say it's the stars. No, the stars create the windows and the opportunity. It's the will workers. It's the beings in flesh and not in flesh that come through at those times.
That's a really that's something I've been getting smacked with this a lot lately, is especially. So last night I did this ritual with Beelzebub. I had a fellow come out locally and do this ritual with me, and we both had a really strong sense of, like, I don't have to do the heavy lifting. I'm going to open the doorway, make the invitation, and then after that there's a relief. And actually, at one point we're standing at the altar, and both of us kind of had a moment where we could feel ourselves trying to push the magic, and we both got a strong signal. Stop. Your time for pushing is done. All you need to do, again, is open the gate, give the invitation, and then at that point, your job is really to let go.
Yep, exactly.
Mm-hmm. So very interesting. Yeah, the whole, above as above, so below, it's really true. I do believe that there is definitely a spiritual battle going on the other side, and it's manifesting here and vice versa. And the more we start studying all this shit, like it almost looks like we're in some kind of simulation, honestly. Yeah.
I think people can get really silly with the simulation thing, but in a way it kind of is. It seems like it's a cooperative simulation, that the reality that is static reality, Maya, can give us really interesting illusions that we then can play with and mold a bit, and it does bounce off. I mean, you ever find yourself thinking about a movie you haven't seen forever, and then you start seeing little clips of it everywhere or whatever? The universe does respond to our thoughts, but it's also very real. If you fall, you do get hurt. There is an aspect to this reality that I think and then I think that's what makes this three-dimensional space-time reality so appealing for all the different entities, because they all seem to be really interested in what's going on here and now. And it is, with all the limitations, this is the point where everything comes into a vortex and actually manifests. And so I think this is a really important yet challenging existence here in the physical realm, for sure.
Yeah, and everybody's got agendas. Not just us, but also non-physical beings. The difference is their agendas are based on a time scale that we can't fathom. So they could easily step in and be like, we're going to continue the work we started in another life, but it's not going to be done for 200 years. Okay. What do you have to say to that? I don't know. I'll just have to take your word on it or not.
Well, one of the big things that came through with Beelzebub is, as we're getting the full presence of him, I start catching visions of cities burning, and then the it's like time lapse over a long period of time. The buildings just collapsing into the, being reclaimed by the earth. And I said out loud, I said, I see the whole world dying, being destroyed. And instantly Beelzebub's voice came to me saying, don't be so egotistical. You think the destruction of your species is the whole world. That's just one species. And so with that kind of hit to what you're saying, Bill, as far as like when you can catch glimpses of the way they see things, it's like, whoa, they're looking at this game a lot further out than I could even imagine.
Oh yeah, and they also carry grudges too from one life to another, but that's a conversation for another time.
Well, wait a minute. No, I think you got to go into that a little bit. What do you mean?
No, sure, that's fine with me. I can just imagine, because you have to look at time. Soul recognizes soul. In professional sports, they say game recognizes game. So here we are with being oblivious with our consciousness beyond just this life. And if we just happen to be someone that interfered with their plans a lifetime or two ago, they're going to take an opportunity here to settle the score.
I can see that. Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, and that coin flips the other direction as well. I do feel in this life I am being benefited by pacts that I have made in previous incarnations, by help that I've given to these spirits in previous incarnations. My whole life they've been really happy to help me out, and I think that's because I'm not. And I don't feel like. With that, I think, to be clear, I don't feel like there's a debt and there's a balance and somebody's keeping score, but I do feel, I don't know, it is like you say, like recognizes like, and that. Well, and even with this, it's interesting with the blessings that we get from spirits. I've been thinking about this. It's not necessarily that they give us things, but that connecting to their presence stimulates things to start just happening in our lives. I don't know.
Right. No, yeah, completely. It's a resonance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You resonate on a certain frequency that aligns with their resonance, and you get that.
Yeah.
That's why it's so interesting to think about the simulation idea, because all you got to do is find the right frequency to interact with the simulation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, and that's El the Alchemist's whole theory on what's going on with radionics is as you're tuning the dials, you're tuning the radio station of your reality to the dimension that's best suited for you, which, radionics being one tool for that. But, you can say the exact same thing is happening at your traditional altar when you're arranging the symbols on there.
Exactly. It was just a different kind of tech at the time. And the more we reach that singularity point of science and magic, the more things like radionics are going to come to the forefront.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
It's basically version 2.0 of the old spiritualist tools for detecting ectoplasm and all of that craziness from 140 years ago. Now it's radionics machines instead.
Well, ever since electronics first started getting to be a thing, from the very get-go, there have been ghosts in the machine. There have been voices that are being heard in the static ever since the very start. So.
Yes, there has. And there was a belief in spiritualism. I give it some credit because it's very interesting to me. Basically, the decline in quality spiritualism aligns with more and more signals being sent through the air, whether through wires or wirelessly, because it's more interference on the spectrum. I think that's something to think about, because people doing spirit work now are actually better than their predecessors because they have to fight through all that garbage to get success.
For sure. Well, this fellow that came out and joined me for this ritual last night, he spends a good deal of his time out in the wilderness, living off the land, and he's in the middle of a very, very interesting discipline with this. But one of the observations he made, he says, go Where you really want to get to in the wilderness is a place that is outside of human observation, that people just don't observe. And at that point, not only are you going to be just de facto outside of the range of cell phones and those signals, but also even just people have not penetrated that with their doubting eyes and their BS beliefs.
Yeah, and there's something to be said for that. That was something that George Lucas brought forward from the teachings of Joseph Campbell, was that idea of going out into the wilderness untouched by humanity. That's where the true enlightenment comes in a place that's pure like that.
Yeah. That even goes into the whole mythology in Star Wars, is that the few remaining Jedi Masters are trying to escape to these places that there aren't other intelligent people, so that way their signal can't get spread out to the masses, to the galaxy. So that's for sure. And that, boy, wouldn't that be nice to get away to a planet where there's no other people?
Oh yeah, every time I hear about possible alien sightings, let's roll. Let's go.
Man, what do you think about that, Bill? The whole alien thing seems like it's picking up with. So do you think we're being whitewashed by our government what's your thoughts on all this?
So I'm pretty much of the common opinion, which is that the government and governments of the world have been working with aliens for decades.
Yeah.
Out of the public eye. We've been reverse engineering shit we got from them. That's how our technology has basically tripled in speed development in 25 years. It's pretty flippin' obvious. The CIA has come out and said there's aliens. The Air Force has come out and said there's aliens. Everybody and their goddamn mother has come out and said there's flippin' aliens. So it's not even a question in my mind anymore. The question is whether they're actually aliens from outer space or aliens from another dimension, and have they masqueraded for the last few thousand years as what we call demons and angels and spirits. Graham Hancock is right.
I wish J.S. Garrett was here, damn it, because he and I were having a conversation about this where I said, what if Azazel is a giant creature that exists in hollow earth, and he's sitting there in a throne on hollow earth projecting himself to me? And J.S. goes, well, would that make him any weaker in your mind? I'm like, not. It's weird. It changes it somehow. It takes it from being a completely supernatural entity. The whole thing changes at that point.
Exactly. It becomes a natural entity that we didn't look at naturally.
Yeah, and then there's a pilgrimage to get to his throne.
Yes.
But that is the question I've got about it is, why are they telling us? And it does. So here's my theory on it. Terence McKenna used to talk about a concrescence of novelty that we're coming up on, where it's not just AI that comes about, it's not just aliens, it's all of it. Everything starts tearing open at the seams, and it feels like we're entering a point where a lot of the, I don't know, it's not just like necessarily the veils tearing, but there's specific elements of the illusion we've been living under that are falling away. And I've wondered, and Bill, I think you can speak to this a bit. I wondered if it has to do with the passing through the dark rift in the galaxy, and we're in a new phase of an aeonic shift in the. I don't know if there is something to it astrologically, or whatnot.
Well, so I would agree with something there, giving credence and weight to what you're talking about. Really, we get into this situation where the more technology that's developed quicker, the faster we're going to reach that singularity point. And we're given the tools and the resources we have now, it's not moving fast enough. So there's going to be something that comes up to expedite the development of technology. And I say that because many times in science fiction circles, they talk about the blue matter from Star Trek, or the blue energy source you see in so many science fiction movies. It could be that. It could be just a worldwide flipping revelation where everybody sees a saucer above their favorite nearest population density center, and we get the whole "I come in peace," or we get the whole "you're our bitches now," and then it just things happen from there. There's so much fiction that has been built around some catastrophic big event coming that even if it was not going to come at this time, there's been enough energy put in that way to make it flip and happen.
Yeah. Well, most people are wishing for it. As people are watching Walking Dead or maybe any other apocalyptic show, we're all kind of wishing that this civilization would come to an end already.
Right. If we're gonna fly or fail, then let's do it now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look at all the borealis that's been going on all over the world, right? Exactly. What's that all about? There's evidence of pole shift right there. There's shifts going on that we can actually see in the sky now. So,
Well, and another interesting thing is that it seems like all of a sudden there's a lot of underground things that are being unearthed or coming up. And Göbekli Tepe was just one of a whole series of things that started happening around Turkey and then just other parts of the world that we're having a lot of cave-ins, a lot of sinkholes out of nowhere, and then also with that a lot of discoveries. And so it is becoming more and more clear that we're living on the top layer of multiple civilizations buried beneath us.
Yes.
Exactly. And that's absolutely fantastic, because you were talking about Hollow Earth earlier. We know there's an ocean down there. So things that were once science fiction, now they're actually finding out that the ideas that we thought were steeped in myth actually existed. And the hows, the whys, the technical, analytical thinking side of it is what was lost over time. But they actually did flip and exist. So how many other things are we going to find out about? Because you're right. The Earth is giving up all these secrets as Pluto transitions into Aquarius. So we're going to find not just the remnants that you're talking about, but we're also going to find ways they were connected.
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
Turkey with Göbekli Tepe. Well, now in Turkey they've got that Hagate temple that they're working on restoring or whatever. I think it's Turkey. If not, it's Greece. They've got one over there they're restoring, and the timing of that is not coincidental.
Yeah. And I don't know how much, if there's any credence to this at all, but there keeps popping up rumors about something in my backyard being the Grand Canyon having Egyptian artifacts, and the rumor mill with that is that the Grand Canyon here in Utah and Arizona, there are underground passages leading to Egypt. And I'm like, that would be badass. That would be really badass. And so if we're looking at an underworld structure like that kind of opens up. At that point, we have multiple different. Overpopulation isn't a problem. That's one thing. Overpopulation is no longer a problem. We got.
I hadn't heard about the tunnels connecting Egypt, but I know what you're talking about. I used to follow that pretty closely with the Egyptian stuff that they pulled out of the Grand Canyon. And yeah, Egyptians were there, which means they were probably the first people to land on North America thousands of years before the Norse. But it was so long ago, there was no consistency of transmission here. So their impact was minimal and confined to the Grand Canyon.
Well, and that's what makes more sense to me rather than the tunnels. And not, I wouldn't say that the Egyptians were here, not the Egyptians that we know as the Egyptians, but whoever actually built the Great Pyramid, and that same culture, and this is part of every single culture, is strange people came up out of the sea and gave us these secrets. So yeah,
I love that symbolism. In every culture, wisdom came from the sea.
Yeah, and usually carrying a handbag of some sort. There are really interesting signals that are given throughout mythology, where there are specific the god holding the exact same tool amongst a million different religions just to let you know this is the same guy. Really interesting things like that are built into all the different systems.
Yes, very interesting. I do believe that between all the cathedrals and all of that in Europe, there's underground everything. They can go from one to the other. And I wouldn't be surprised that it's all over the globe, really, where you can, and at one point, that's where we were, because the earth does go through shifts every 6,000 years, 12,000 years, 24,000 years. And it seems like we're approaching another one now. And the way that we have survived in the past is by going underground. So, it seems like we're here again now. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see. And, even with that lunch break channel is uncovering all the old civilization that we're built on top of. And it's very obvious once you start digging into it. It's like, how come we're not able to do any of that now? We're supposed to be more civilized, we're supposed to be, and yet we're not, right? We're dumber, and we're actually getting dumber and dumber and dumber with every generation, honestly. So,
yeah, going to Scotland was a trip, because you're looking at buildings that they're like, yeah, we basically built this out of matchsticks, and look at it. It's like, what the hell? These are some of the most incredible architecture that has been standing for hundreds of years. And again, it's like, what'd you build that out of? What the heck? And and now we've got everything with plastic siding. The plastic thing is really interesting. We just like that got pushed out so quickly that everything is plastic, and it's like, what? That it's part of, but Bill, you mentioned this, is that like all of a sudden we had this ridiculous explosion in technology. How did we even learn how to freaking make plastics all of a sudden? How to fiber optic cables all of a sudden come out of nowhere, supposedly pulled out of a UFO that crashed in Roswell. That we've got all these gifts being given to us, these donations that are left for us that we can then reverse engineer, figure out how to make some basic or some complicated thing. From what I understand, from what it seems like, though, it doesn't sound like they've gotten like the full crafts working. Our government hasn't. It sounds like they've only got trinkets to come out of this.
I think it's kind of like the Greek priests to the Egyptian sages. They only learned what the Egyptians allowed them to learn.
Okay. Just drink this and shut up.
Yeah, here, you got this. That's good enough for now. We'll tell you the advanced plastic stuff in 100 years.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah.
Show us you can handle this. It's like my philosophy towards taxes. I'll vote for a tax increase when you demonstrate you're spending my money the right way the first time, and you ain't done that yet.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure aliens are treating us that way with technology.
Oh yeah. Oh, I bet aliens and any kind of advanced life really loves our voting system.
Oh, our whole political systems got to be, reality TV Earth.
I can only imagine.
I heard a funny little deal by Alex Stein. He says, at this point, I feel like the politics is the oh, dang it. The entertainment division of the military-industrial complex.
Military-industrial complex. Yeah, that's a Frank Zappa quote.
Oh, okay. There you go. Yeah.
He was right.
Yeah, and it is. It's a huge distraction to really pay attention to the people who have the least power.
Right, exactly. Who matter really the least.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But though, and it is, if that's, in Vietnam, they would often make the lowest ranking guy wear the general's outfit and walk around with the general's hat on. Because if somebody's going to take a bullet in there, it's not going to be the general himself. He's usually going to just be dressed like a private. And so whoever the guy is, the guy or the gal that they shove up in your face, that's not the real leader.
Yeah, well, today with all the clones and lookalikes and whatever's going on there, it's just like.
Well, when when we can see with our consumer technology AI what you can do with creating things, what have they had for a long time then?
Yep. There's consumer grade and there's prosumer grade.
Yeah. The and the military side is usually well ahead of us. And even worse at this point, that it's interesting because we're even moving to a different kind of military industrial complex, moving even further away from even state military industrial to corporate military industrial, and that is going to be because so a lot of there was this new DOD thing saying that they can now kill Americans and whatever, and a lot of people are freaking out about this, and they're like, well. But the Army, I know a lot of good guys in the Army and the Marine Corps, and they would never fire on citizens. Well, yeah, maybe those guys wouldn't, but the BlackRock guys, I bet they don't have an issue. They're used to firing on civilians. That's what they do for a living.
And get away with it.
Yeah, we're just ants, that they like to spray once in a while.
Yeah, well, and 100% that there are. And I don't think this is Hillary Clinton behind the scenes doing this, but there are forces harnessing all of the emotions of humanity. As we're hating each other and as we're loving each other and all of this is creating a cloud of power. And there are forces that are feeding off of it and trying to entice the kind of emotions that they can feast off of. And again, I don't think this is Hillary Clinton behind the scenes doing this. I don't give her that kind of credit. I think these are non-human entities that are vampirizing the human race and spurring us on to hate each other.
Exactly, because each one gets something different out of it. You got one that feeds on lust. You got one that feeds on anger. And then they've got different personalities or whole different beings that have grown up to do the same shit for their special addiction. Because that's what it is it's an addiction. Everybody's addicted to something, and people forget that. Everybody's got an addiction. All of us are addicted to sucking air. Let's just start with the basics.
Mm-hmm. Or your phone. Do you see anybody looking at you anymore? No, everybody's down looking on their phone now. Like, there's no interaction at all, I've noticed, when you're walking around. Like, people so addicted.
Exactly.
Even to the point that they've started seeing neck muscle issues with kids because their necks are bent forward looking at their phone, as well as respiratory issues that they're getting shallower breathing, as well as loss of peripheral vision because they're only looking in one direction. They're not catching peripheral vision.
Not using it. Yeah.
Well, this is the side effect of technology that nobody really talked about is that it's not something we're just using. It's changing us as we're using it. And, we unmistakably changed our society. In 20 years, we can see the ridiculous shift that's happened with the internet on our society. But then the physiological shifts for sure that are just starting to come into view. And brain chemistry shifts from the reward system being inappropriately pinged when you're on your social media, getting thumbs up for stuff you really didn't do.
Well,
there's addiction, right? Addiction to endorphin addiction, wherever you get it from, and the whole likes and follower, all that shit is dopamine. That's all it is, right?
You used to have to go. You used to have to go hunt something down and bring food home to get that rush, or go, woo a woman and get her into bed with you. You had to do something that made an accomplishment in the real world to get that rush. And now you get it from. And honestly, the sad thing is now that rush is being gotten through a lot of negativity on social media. You say something crappy to someone.
With it. Yeah. I know, which isn't good. Now I've heard too, like men, like the young men nowadays, they're not out chasing women anymore. They don't, the testosterone is down like half, 50%. They're just sitting at home watching porn now, because you don't have to deal with all the, the bad things about chasing the women, so.
Well, and then also a lot of the dating is not happening by walking up to somebody on the streets, but it's happening on an app. And so what's happening on that app, the selection's all off. That everybody's choosing the top percentage, and so there's a whole bunch of really wonderful people who are beautiful people that are getting left out of the mix because they're not being selected by the algorithm and by people's instant desire. Now, like in a big part of the way, got to put the devices down and look somebody in the eyes. Like you get out into the freaking world, people. I do think that is going to be the solution, though, because here's the thing: unless we get hit by a solar storm that knocks out electricity and all of that, I think we're stuck with technology. And so with that, I think we're going to have to start taking responsibility over this ourselves and going, now it's time to put the phone down and go for a walk in the woods and connect with nature. Now it's time to shut everything off and have a conversation with my lover. But we've got to make that decision for ourselves. And I think at this point, a lot of us have seen the pain and the negativity that's brought on by over-reliance on technology, by letting the technology dominate our lives. I'm going to say that for myself personally. Like I've had to reel that back, and dang, that is the key to happiness, is because it's really easy to find happiness in the woods. It's really easy to find happiness with sunshine on your skin.
Exactly. And connection is what's going to be the healer.
Well, and that's what I was going to get to with that whole porn and the dating thing, is that even when they're on these dating apps, they're not really looking for connection or relationship. They're just looking for hookups. Even the girls, they just want to hook up. That's it. They don't even want you to know your name. They don't care about you at all. They just want the hookup, and that's it. So we're losing the human, everything about being a human. We're losing that.
I'll tell you what, so this is like a silly, really corny suggestion, but it's something that has worked for me. Every town, big or small, has a community center. If you go to that community center, there are classes you can sign up for. So I'm taking like just stupid little acting classes, which has gotten me to doing little films, little independent films with people locally, meeting people here and there. And I'm off the market. Zarafina is the only woman in my eyes, but I meet a lot of really cool friends and have that connection, have people that I can hug and say I love you at the end of the night before I drive home, and have that great connection. But that does take that takes I think for me, it was a frustration to get me to get out of myself, to go look around me and say, what is available that I can actually go talk to people in the real world. But it does exist. And I'll tell you what, classes are a great way to do that. And if you're in an area that you got any kind of metaphysical shops, there are always, every new age store worth their salt has classes after hours. And so go sign up for those classes, sit in rooms with people. But I think that is, again, we've got to make that decision. The technology is not just going to go away, and the technology is just going to suck us deeper into it. We've got to be the ones to turn it off.
Right. And, part of that too is once you get established like that, then you're in a position to do your own classes. And I mean that with like ballroom dancing or creative writing in your town. Once you get established as part of the community, then you can start to guide them to things that interest you and bring some diversity to that area.
Yeah. And Bill, I think that this is an area that I see you shining and setting a great example with your activity in your local communities, as far as getting out there, doing readings and doing these. It really is like, yeah, but I imagine that's got to take a certain kind of oomph from you to be like, okay, I'm going to get up, I'm going to go set up this booth and sit there and do this all day. Like, that's not something that just happens.
No, it's not. Yeah. And whether it's fueled by a desire to be of service, whether it's fueled by coffee and spite because you want to prove somebody wrong, that's really up to the individual person. But the underlying principle is something I talk about all the time that's lacking today, which is ambition. Nobody's ambitious anymore, not on the level that they used to be. There's an attack by narrow-minded people on the idea of hustle culture. Ambition is frowned on. There's more of a backlash to that when I disagree with it. Yes, there should be an attack on doing it too much, but ambition should continue to be supported. Hustle culture should continue to be supported. But yes, it can go to an unhealthy extreme where it has to be reeled in.
Yeah, that's and I fully support detaching from obsession with material gain. Like,
Right.
I can see that, and I actually do see that with people younger than me. That there is a growing distaste for all the gaudy stuff in life, and that's really, really cool. But that doesn't need to be where I don't even think that should be where your ambition comes from. It should come, in my opinion, from just being so wrapped up in enjoyment with the thing that you just want to keep going further. And so with that, it's like, I wonder if people, and this comes back to people sitting in their homes watching porn or interacting virtually, that I don't know, that people just aren't getting out and finding the things that really light them on fire enough to pursue.
Well, and a lot of that's because of the echo chamber that people have created for themselves.
That's true.
They don't want to leave the echo chamber because it's comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
They know I'm there.
Yeah, for sure. No, I know people that shift. They'll start a new Facebook group and get a bunch of people all in this Facebook group, and they're going, yeah, I got all these followers, and then it falls apart like it always does, and then they go start another one. I got all these followers. Look, I'm like, why don't you spend some time with yourself?
Right, exactly. Fix your shit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And this goes back to the dopamine, right? Getting all these followers, that's the dopamine thing. That's what he's just chasing the dopamine. Then once he got them all, he's got nothing to offer, so he just falls apart. You know?
Exactly.
So, we've been in the community for quite a while. We've seen people come and go now quite a few times, and
the longer I'm in a community like you're describing, the more the imagery that goes through my head is just, I'm an old fucking dog laying on my porch. Someone new comes on the scene, I raise my head, I watch them, they leave the scene, I go back to laying on the porch like the old goddamn dog. Okay, you're passed through. Next.
It's old dogs, it tends to get that way. Don't get too excited right away. It would take a lot in order for us to actually get up and want to sniff you. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, you just keep doing your thing over there, I'll watch you go, I'm here doing mine.
Well, that really is that's the one secret of success I can give anybody is just don't stop. Just flat out don't stop. Like, no matter what happens, just keep going. Like hopefully we all live to be old, and if you just keep doing it, like, that's a lot of years and a lot of, like, you're gonna make traction with whatever you're doing. With my bass guitar is here. I've been playing for about 3 years, and I still kind of suck because it takes time, but you got to keep coming back to it over and over and over. And after my guitarist has been playing for 30 years and watching what he can do, oh my gosh, wow, that's amazing. I can't even imagine my fingers being able to accomplish that, but they will if I could keep at it. So with anything that you want to be successful at, just keep going, and then you can be that old dude on the porch and whatever.
Ambition, don't stop. It doesn't have to be ambition to show off. It can be ambitious for yourself.
Yeah. And it has to be for yourself, because I can tell you from my experience, the followers come and then they go. And that if that's what you're hinging your anything on, you're screwed. You're screwing yourself.
Yep. Some of the circles I used to travel in a lot, we'd call it when the pond turns over.
Yeah.
It's gonna happen. It's cyclical.
Oh yeah. Well, and that is the thing. It is so important that whatever you're doing, that you just keep doing it, because you're gonna have these cycles of up and down and up and down, and that's just the way. Told my therapist at one point, I'm like, things are so great, my relationship's awesome, business is going great. If I can just keep things right here, I'll be okay. And he's like, that's not reality, though. Reality is ups and downs. Like, if you're going to crash as soon as your life crashes, you got to get yourself in order. So, yeah. And there is, I'll tell you what, that's so much easier said than done, to detach your internal self from your external environment. But I think that is what all the sages from every religion are pointing to, is to find that ability to detach from from even the most awful things that are happening around you, or even the best things as well. That's the tantric path that a lot of people don't think about with tantra. They think tantra is all the fun and sexy stuff. It's actually, you're kind of detaching from the sexy stuff while you're experiencing it. So yeah.
Just float on, just enjoy, just go with it. Act
Right?
oblivious.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
this is the best time of the year for all this conversation, because we're coming up on Halloween, Samhain. In the northern hemisphere, it's the dying part of the year. Everybody's attention turns to decay and entropy and death and all those happy concepts. And I point this out because we're only going to see more of this kind of conversation over the next month. Because in the States, we've got a pivotal election that's being watched worldwide. Regardless of who wins, people are going to lose. And they're going to be turning to these out-of-the-way directions to look for guidance and solace.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Well, and I've been told that there will come a day when everybody is running in the streets, panicked and scared, and you'll be able to see it in their eyes, I've been told. And they're going to be looking around for somebody that doesn't have that look in their eyes. They'll be looking around for anybody that actually is calm, is going, you know what, it's all right, come over here. We'll be all right. And I started seeing glimpses of that in 2020 for sure. Started seeing a lot of people scurrying with panic in their eyes, and I'll tell you, I feel like I took a lot of lessons from that, of shoring my own self up, because that was a test run. That was a test run, and I feel like I saw what I needed to improve in myself, and I've made some good progress. So next time I'm not going to get shaken so goddamn easy, guys.
Exactly. All you can do is prepare. Isn't that Marcus Aurelius quote? Whenever death looks at you, all you can do is smile back.
Yeah, absolutely.
There you go. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they set us up because it was the footage from China is what made us like, oh shit, because people were falling over. Remember that? Everybody's forgotten about that now. What happened to all these people who are falling over? I mean, that's kind of what made me think, okay, well, I mean, this could be happening. I don't think it is, but it could be, looking at what's going on in China, And so that was false advertising, obviously. Propaganda to get us all on board with this, so
well, yeah. Try to tell us now that there's not a one world government. We saw every single world that supposedly were at war with all of these guys. They all came to the same decision of how to handle it and enacted it all together at the exact same time. Okay, and then as soon as the COVID restrictions are lifted, all of a sudden Russia and Ukraine started acting up, and that way we can have something else to distract us. Now, got to keep the tension going, and again, that is why you got to separate from your internal self from the external. Get yourself squared away, because that shit can't shake you.
Right, exactly. That is the point to reach, when you can't be shaken like that.
I didn't realize. I didn't realize that my son's video game, Divide and Conquer, was actually the plan that they put out there for all of us. Like going back to the internet. Like, I guess I'm one of those. Like, I was young when the internet came out, and I just let my kids. I didn't even think about it. I didn't even realize that my kids, my sons are free access to porn now, and they're like, we didn't even think about it. Like, we were so naive back then. In the 90s when this came out, the kids were playing video games at 5 years old, shooting up, Duke Nukem and all this. I didn't think of it, but now I can see, what it's done, now luckily my kids got out of it and they're not sitting there just playing video games. They actually got married, got kids, or, responsible adults and all this, but, and there's lots that's not though, that didn't make it through that whole ordeal. But yeah, it's, anyways, forgot where I was going with that now.
Well, the next level of that's going to be virtual reality, and it's already here with a lot of the platforms. It's just going to get more fully immersive.
Well, and then on top of that, as we get more automation and robotization throughout our industries, they're going to have to come up with some some amount that they can give people to stay home and take care of themselves if you're not able to have a job. And at that point, I do see, that people will be getting paid to do things in the virtual world, that you'll have your helmet on, you'll be doing your work day in the that's what Zuckerberg's already aiming at with his stuff, is that you put your helmet on for 8 hours a day, and that's how you spend your work day. And it's like, that's scary. That's scary.
It's not really healthy, though, for a human body to just sit there for 8 hours with the helmet. You know what I mean?
No, it's not. No, it's not. There's already been studies that have proven it's not.
It's not healthy to sit in front of the computer as much as I do.
I was going to say, it's not healthy to sit in school all day either. That's all debatable too. That's the thing. Like, you expect our boys, especially the boys, because they're a little bit more rambunctious. You expect them to sit there for 6 hours still? Like, that's insane. But no, we'll put you on medication, and if you can't sit there for 6 hours, like, it's just insane. Like, we're not meant to, as humans, to be sitting there for hours all day. We're supposed to be busy doing stuff, so. Yeah.
You want, and there's a very high likelihood that the thing that you're having a hard time paying attention to, that might not be the thing that you should be doing with your time.
It's not your interest.
A ton of ADHD people that I know will say that they have no problem focusing on the thing that they're interested in. The thing, and that is kind of part of it. And it's like, maybe put as much time as you can in that. Spend as little time. I'm not good at math at all. I hate it. It makes me anxious. And so I've got an accountant, and I do as little math as possible because that's not my thing. I hate it. So and
I'm
it does.
The same way there. Yeah, I know. Turns out I'm dyslexic in numbers too. So no wonder. But that seems to be, people who are more into artistic stuff and other things are not as mathematical inclined usually. That's kind of how it goes. But
exactly. And and EA's talking about something I learned several years ago, and they don't teach school children, and I understand why, and that is play to your strengths, delegate your weakness.
Yeah.
That's really the secret to
it. That's something they should have taught us in school.
Well, you can't teach a third grader that.
They punish you in school for that. If you're like, hey, Sally, if you do my math, I'll do your English. They don't like that at all. But here's the thing. My an ex-girlfriend was she was an engineer, and while she was going to school, the engineering program actually encouraged that. They encouraged you to more or less cheat on your tests in the way that it would be, because in the real world, you're going to have to get the answers one way or the other.
Right. Exactly. I saw a commencement presentation at Webster University several years ago. It was their MBA graduation, and the keynote speaker just said, okay, you see the people you graduated with. Now look across the aisle. Those are the ones that graduated in finance. After this commencement, start making friends with them. I was like, sold. I'm sold. That's exactly right. If you're not friends with them by now, and you're an MBA grad, make friends with somebody in finance.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. That's funny you say that, because I've been thinking about this. I think I'm ready to have a really, really wealthy patron of the dark arts come and just donate to us to be able to just do all kinds of cool, elaborate ass rituals. And I want to rent out a warehouse and do like a black magic rave. And that's going to require a lot of money. So I'm just going to throw this out there to the audience. If anybody is ridiculously wealthy and you want to be a patron of the dark arts, hit me up.
Yeah, you can find.
Yeah, because my audience is really rich.
I know, that's what
you can find us through Nina the Mystic's channel here on YouTube. And while you're here, click like, subscribe, and share.
100%.
Oh, yeah. No, hey, there's people out there with money, and so no, there's no shame in saying that, because there is people who do have money, and there's no shame in having money either. That's another thing we've been gaslit into believing, that money is the root of all evil. Yet the church, they sure really want it all the time, So yeah. Well,
if it's the root of all evil, I'm a root worker.
Right.
I feel like, and this is something that you'll find when you ask just about any spirit for money, when you really start working with them for money, they do start delineating for you between abundance and greed. And you know, just about any spirit that you work with of any system is happy to help you get abundance, because that is, I do feel like abundance is within our spiritual nature to be abundant, but greed is another thing. Greed is actually the opposite of abundance, because you think there's not going to be enough, so you've got to take more, you've got to hoard, and so that there is even the demonic kingdom will let you know, hey, you know, that's kind of greedy, like you don't actually need that. That's more for your, and here's what it comes out, that's more for your ego than it is to you know, for your kitchen. So
right, exactly. You need a pan. It doesn't have to be gold inlaid.
Right. Yeah.
Well, and another thing with money too is that, you know, people ask, you know, well, how come, you know, you guys aren't millionaires? You know, you guys are, you know, doing all this stuff, and, you know, why aren't you all, you know, winning the lottery and all of this and whatever? And, you know, the message that I got was, you know, if I won that lottery or whatever, I would get lazy. I wouldn't be doing any of the things that I would, you know, that I was supposed to be doing. Right. I would be too busy trying to figure out, you know, what curtains I'm going to have and what the furniture over here and, you know, how to spend all this money, right, instead of doing the work, you know. And so I think that's why a lot of us, you know, we're comfortable, you know, we got what we need, but we don't really have too much more than that, because it would be a distraction. Honestly, it would be.
Well,
and you know, this is something EA and I can have some fun with. You get the practitioners that request money rituals or talking to this demon for financial guidance, and they think it's going to fix their problem. Okay, fine, great, it all works out. Then a few years later, they fuck it up.
Yeah, it's gone.
Right.
Yeah.
But then that is where the true spiritual test begins, to get the same effect without going through a ritual and relying on yourself.
Yeah,
that's
well,
what most of them don't want to hear. And myself included, it was a bitch of a lesson for me to learn to work on the financial side of things without going through a ritual format, but it makes you better as a person.
Well, and also at that point, there, with all of us, with clients, but most of all with myself, when you see those loops, you're like, oh, I lost all my money again. Do some real root work of like, figure out what the root cause of that is. Figure out why it is. For me, you know, I'm going to be really honest here. I had to get over substance abuse and addiction, because that was eating that. I probably would have $1 million in my bank account if I didn't spend it all on poisons. And so for me, I actually had to learn that, oh, this keeps destroying my life. I've got to stop that if I want to stop destroying my life. And boom, it worked. And so with that, whatever your sabotage is, you've really got to figure out, why am I doing this? And am I ready to stop? And that can be, you know, drug addiction is a really obvious one. Most of us are going to have a lot more subtle stuff that we've got to work with.
Yeah, mine's subtle. I had to change my thought patterns, because every time an opportunity came up, I just said, fuck it, let's fuck around and find out and see what happens. And that usually led to what I was building crumbling. And then you go through it a second time, you're like, well, last time I took a chance and that didn't work out. I got to stop doing that. So mine, it wasn't an addiction, but it was a desire to take the chance, because if you don't take the chance, you don't get a second chance.
Yeah.
So mine was insidious like that, where it was like, oh, you know you want to. So then I had to go through what Nina was talking about is that because I want the endorphin fix? Is that because I feel like I'm bored with life? What's really at the core here? And that's when things started changing, when those questions got answered.
Yeah. Well, and then also with the question of why aren't we filthy rich? I don't know that that's what any of us in this conversation really value. You know,
True.
Well, that's the thing, right?
If we did, honestly, we probably wouldn't be talking about this kind of stuff out in the public.
That's what I'm saying. I wouldn't be sitting here doing this with you right now if I was filthy rich. That's what I'm saying.
I don't take it personally.
No,
I would be out spending my money somewhere. So, you know.
And we're bright people. We could choose a career path that could have paid off millions, but we chose to do this weird shit instead. So obviously our values aren't really to get a lot of money. That's not, and that's not. I've had a lot more money than I do right now, and I'm happier now than I was then. That's not. Actually, I see an inverse. I see an inverse correlation. I feel like the more money gets stacked up in your bank account, the worse life is. And so if I just keep a nice expenses and income, nice balance there, that's a pretty happy way to live for me.
Because otherwise, you're just worried about losing it. That's what's inside. You have it in there. Now you're like, now you're desperately, hanging on to that, and it just creates more, problems. Not to say that money is bad and that. Some people are able to handle it, and some people are born into it where they're able to, handle it better. Like I grew up with poverty, so I got the poverty mindset, and it is a mindset. It's really hard to get out of. I don't know, it's there, but once you're aware of it, though, like we're talking about it now, we can try to heal that and fix that. You know what I mean? So,
well, that is, at the peak of my financial abundance, I was riding that peak the whole time, just going, I'm going to lose it at any moment. At any moment, it's all going to go because I did grow up poor. I have had enough long periods of time of not having money that there is that expectation it's just going to fall back there. And so then, surprise, surprise, when I lose everything, it's like, oh, cool. It was actually a relief. It's like, whew.
I know.
Glad that other shoe dropped. now I can just get on with life and not have to worry about that, losing that now.
I know that feeling, and it's weird. And that's what they say. Most people who win the lottery are broke within a year. It's almost like you want to rush to get rid of that money because that money just makes you worried. Now you don't trust the people around you anymore because you think they're just after your money, it's just, there's just so much drama that comes with that we tend to rush through the money so that we can go back to being poor again and being comfortable because we're comfortable there. We grew up there, so, and that's most of us, so that's, but, like I said, once we're aware of that now, though, we're talking about it out, and that's one thing. Nobody talked about these kind of things before, nobody would admit things before, even if you had a loss, you would never admit that, you know what I mean? And so this is great. This is therapy, for people to watch. Yeah.
Well, and that's been a big part of my form of parenting. I've not been a disciplinarian of a parent at all. I've been really lax and let her walk all over me and da 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 da. But my big, where I really feel like I really came in strong as a parent was talking to her about my mistakes, talking to her about the things that I'm learning as I'm going, hey, I'm paying taxes this year and check out what I'm doing here. And this really sucks. And I didn't file this the correct way. Overfill her brain with information. Cause I had the opposite when I was growing. My parents didn't want to talk about finances or anything else. And so I felt pretty dumb when I entered the adult world and was like, what do I do with this? And so there is that, overexposing yourself and especially your flaws. That's because that's really where you're going to learn the most and other people are going to learn the most.
Absolutely. I know there was a time when we didn't talk about a lot of things, Well, the quiet in most households, dad comes home from work and it's just like the sound of the food getting cooked for dinner. And there's not a whole lot of, I don't know. It was much quieter households. Not what I like at all. I like a lot of shouting across the room and throwing stuff at each other and hugs and all of that. Yeah. Yes, whatever you're used to, right? So, yeah. Mm-hmm. But yeah, if you guys have any questions for these guys, put them in the chat right now and you get them answered live here while you guys are here. Make sure you're sharing this out so that your friends can join us in live. It's always nice. But, if you're watching on the replay, you can always leave them down in the comment section as well. I'm sure they'll probably see it later, or I'll refer it to them if it's something that I think that they need to see. Absolutely. Just use that comment section down below. And, Yeah, all their links, of course, are down in the description. So go and check them out. Make sure you subscribe to their YouTube. Check out their websites and all that kind of stuff. And so what do you guys got going for Halloween? Let's go rein it back. Let's circle back to Halloween. It's that time of the year. We're only, a week and a half or whatever it is away from the actual Halloween. What are you guys doing for Halloween? We want to know. I can start with you, Bill. You're up top there.
Sure. Halloween for me, probably just what I do every Halloween: black magic, fire, bloodletting.
Oh,
the usual.
Yeah,
the usual
Thursday night.
Well, somebody might ask, well, what is that, Bill? What are you talking about? What is that exactly?
Yeah, no, I'll probably one of the things I like to do for Halloween specifically is just quiet, contemplative, meditative time, because I know everybody's out doing their thing. Depending on your mental disposition, it's either rookie night or it's social night, and I ain't a rookie, and my social life is my business, so I'm usually the inverse, and I'll just probably light a bonfire, burn it in the backyard, plan on doing a fire releasing to just wash out some memories that need recycled, and that's probably about it.
There you go.
Awesome.
Yeah, I like to keep it low-keyed.
Yeah. I find a lot of cultists do, actually. It's kind of funny. Yeah, because people assume that we're out there doing all kinds of crazy stuff, right? Yep. So that's why I asked the question. What about you? Yeah, we haven't gone through your response yet, though, so who knows?
Yeah. So I've started out all month. I've been working with Beelzebub, and so this first half of the month, I've been working with his destructive aspect, which I call his left eye, and so with that, that's a lot of the common associations people have with Beelzebub are his destructive, extreme heat of the summer aspects. But he also has a springtime aspect, a regenerative aspect. So that's what I'm going to start working with and building that up, and have a final culmination ritual on the 31st. And so even though I haven't been blessed with millions of dollars, I have been blessed with some really, really nice land that I live on, that I've been able to trench out an enormous triangle that I fill up with fuel and light that on fire and do my rituals inside of that fire triangle. And so I'm gonna be doing that, and yeah, focusing on, like I've mentioned, the visions that I got from last night from Beelzebub were destructive. And there always is that need to cull something in order for something new to grow. And so now the focus is going to be, and again, the culmination is going to be on Halloween to fully unleash whatever needs to be, the seeds of whatever needs to grow, whatever the new things are for me. One of the interesting things I've gotten from Beelzebub is to let go of your intentions. And as magicians, we're really taught that your intention is you've got to set your intention but actually let go of that. Open yourself a bit to the mystery. There's an unfolding that's going to happen beyond your intention. And so that's what I'm getting with Beelzebub. Plant the seeds of what I want to create, but also allow for whole new things that I hadn't even imagined to come. So that's my Halloween plan.
Sounds exciting.
Yeah.
How about you, Nina?
For me, I usually start Halloween off around just before dusk or whatever. I'll head up to the cemetery. I'll light a candle up there and some incense up there. And then I'll go down to my kids' place. I got grandkids who are trick-or-treating. And so trick-or-treat with the kids, do all the, that kind of Halloween stuff. Back in the day, they used to, have fireworks and stuff. I haven't seen too much of that lately, but it's too expensive, I think is what it is. Those fireworks are a lot of money. Anyways, so trick or treat, and then I'll come home and I like to do ancestry thing. That's sort of my night to connect with the ancestors. I'll have a huge, my whole coffee table is basically an ancestor altar that night, and I'll just hang out. We'll drink some wine, and I'll have all kinds of offerings and that kind of thing. And it's more about them.
Do you make a bunch of sweet stuff to leave out for your ancestors, or what do you do? Do you cook food? What do you do?
Yeah, so I'll get, some of the stuff that I know that they liked, food and drink, and both my parents were drinkers, so have the big Viking horn glass with the ale, and just different foods and fruits, and different things that I can partake in. So communing with them and just basically hanging out and talking, and yeah, communing with the ancestors. That's kind of, because then we roll over to the midnight, then it's the Day of the Dead, All Saints Day, and all of that stuff going on. So, and the candle up at the cemetery is usually hopefully still burning all through the night for that as well. So that's kind of what I do for Halloween. Yeah.
Nice.
Very
cool. I enjoy it. I love the energy of Halloween. It just, you just go outside, doesn't matter what you're doing. You can feel it in the air. It's just, to me, that's magical. I just love that. Everybody's in a different energy, I guess. Everybody's in that Halloween energy, and I just love it. I just absorb that. I just love it.
The air is different. I do like the air. It's you can start to smell people burning firewood in their chimneys in the air. You get this crispness. The leaves are starting to decay on the ground. The air has a lot of It's interesting because in that moment of dying, it seems like the air comes to life.
And apparently the veil is the thinnest at that time, or starting now, I guess. Now, actually, speaking of, we were talking about the veil and whatnot. Like, apparently, from what I understand, and I see a lot of people are talking about this whole ascension and the whole whatever that people are talking about, is actually the veil kind of coming apart, and everybody's going to be waking up all at the same time.
Hey, I've heard that story before. I heard that in 1999. Oh,
Did
wait,
you?
I heard that in 2003. Oh, yeah, there was December solstice 2012. Yeah.
Okay, well, I haven't heard a date, but that's kind of what's happening right now. Yeah, and you can see the sun, it's changing, and it's just a lot of things are happening. But
I love it.
I'm a bit of an optimist on this, because I'm like looking at what Bill's seeing, and I'm seeing this as surges. It's like pulses of this, where because we did see around the late 90s, boom, a mass awakening of a ton of people. And then again, with each of these shifts, I don't think they're not for nothing. I think that there are awakenings. Man, I would love, Lucifuge told me, and a lot of times they tell me things that I really wish that they would show me happen. And one of these is that we will experience a cataclysmic enlightenment for all, that everybody is going to get stuck with. And it's awesome. Bring that forth. Do it like any day now.
Exactly.
I think that's what's happening. 2012, I know we're all sort of waiting for something big to happen on that day or whatever, which didn't, nothing that you can put your finger on. But I do, now that I can look back, I would say, that definitely was something shifted, definitely then. Because I sort of woke up around 2012, 2014. I was totally awake. I got completely bursted open, and so...
and that's actually that's when we started Become a Living God too. It was 2012 that everything just came together.
That's what I'm saying.
I wasn't expecting it or planning it, and then everything just kind of collides, and I'm like, this will never work. The world's never been ready for this, and then all of a sudden the world's ready for it. And so but there are, I do think that there are waves. I would love to see everybody go ape shit crazy as they start to see that all of this is real. That'd be awesome.
Hey, I'm all for it. There's no complaint here. If it's pulsations, it's pulsations. That's fine with me. Just fucking do it and get it over with.
Yeah.
It's kind of like we've had these pulsations over the last, whatever years, probably, centuries, but slowly, because let's face it, if the Band-Aid got ripped off too quick, we're probably going insane, which a lot of people still probably are when it does. But I'm ready too. I think a lot of people are, and I can't wait to to really rip this Band-Aid off and just get it over with. Whatever it is that they're planning on doing, whatever's coming up here before the election, let's just get it over with so that we can start rebuilding and getting back to whatever normal is going to be.
Exactly. Yeah. Not really caring about what it is. Just fucking do it.
Yeah. Let's just get it over with. We know we're going to go through shit. So be prepared, right? That's why I've been talking on this channel to prepare with food and water and those basic things, just in case we got to hunker down for a few days at home, maybe without power, who knows, like be prepared for that shit, like, look at Florida. They went, no FEMA coming to help, there's no help coming. Okay. So as you just saw there, so.
Well, and one of the big things that was really cool with what happened, what is still happening is it's a whole lot of neighbors helping neighbors. And that is something that, and I saw that here locally during COVID, even that our local community really banded together and really started looking after each other a bit more. And I think that's, especially if things get real apocalyptic, you're going to need your neighbors to help you out. Where none of us are going to be able to survive as an island. That the whole idea of you're gonna have your country house and fend off all the zombies by yourself. No, that ain't happening. You need a community.
Right, you need a team. Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. And wouldn't it be nice if you're all stocked up so that you can help your neighbors, that you can help your family, and not just sitting there and not knowing what to do, So it's the hoarding or prepping or whatever you want to call it. It's not just for you, but it's so that you are able to then, help out, in these situations. So.
Well, and then also you as an individual, you're valuable. You don't have to just sit there and wait for help. You can be the help. You can go help others. You can go jump and even if you don't have, I don't have a ton of food storage, and I'm not going to be sharing my MREs with too many people if shit goes down. I'll be honest with you, but I will go out there and see if I can help out. There's a local farm right next door that I'm going to go see if I can help them tend their farm, and maybe they'll share some of their beef with me, and that kind of thing. We're things might get to that point, and you know what, that would be there. I feel like just like the moments of losing the money and feeling relieved, I think there will be a relief if everything crashes. Whew, we were struggling so hard to keep this going. Now let's just get back to tending the cattle and growing corn. Get back to what life is actually about.
Yeah. That's us, a collective as humanity. I think so too. It's as it is right now, we're just going downhill. So, but I think there's a balance there, though. Technology is great. We look at, just look at all the different sci-fi movies and whatever. Like, there is ways of doing things that it's going to work out. It's just that we've gotten too much corruption and greed and whatever here now. So we got to clean all that out and see if we can't build it back better. Oh my God, I think I've heard that somewhere.
Yeah.
Love it.
Oh boy.
Well, and that might be part of what's underpinning the desire to see civilization crumble. Is I think we can all look at our society and see systemic issues that there's no solutions for, and so crumbling and rebuilding is really the best option we have for having something good going forward. Hopefully it doesn't come to that. Fingers always crossed. I'll always say that. Hopefully it doesn't come to that, but that actually is our best option is for everything to crumble and for us to build it back better. God damn it.
Exactly. Isn't that fantastic?
Now, the last question, Bill, I know you're an astrologer. What do you see coming up here for the next 6 to 12 months?
Well, I touched on this earlier before we were talking, and this is a great ending note, more or less. So, first of all, we've got the U.S. elections on November 5th. Now, 2 weeks after that, on the 20th, Pluto enters into Aquarius for the final time for the next 20 years. So you've got that big event, and then 2 weeks later, Pluto enters into Aquarius, and the way that interacts with the United States' birth chart is there is a window of opportunity for problems in the U.S. having to do with fallout, presumably from the election. And that window of opportunity lasts until about June 2025. Now, I won't get into specifics because you asked me general astrology here, but a lot of this has to do with some of the outer planets changing signs into cardinal signs, or at least different signs. Pluto's in Capricorn right now. It's about to move in Aquarius, so it's moving from Earth to air. So it's going to be speeding up. And happening faster, manifesting faster. Neptune is going to be moving into Aries early next year. So all of this spiritual haze that's going on, a lot of that's going to get cleared, and probably pretty violently, with an emphasis on the new and the bold and the explorative and the innovative. Uranus is still moving through Taurus, and it's going to be that way a while. But when you add the air and the fire component, it changes the complexity of that. So far, it's just been a slow transit where it's been the unexpected happens on the physical plane. Now it's going to shift more in a technological direction. Now it's going to shift more in a sense of pioneering direction. So the zeitgeist becomes more entrepreneurial, really. And then you've got all the other stuff, the Mercury retrogrades and all the lesser planets that are happening under that. But I point this out because when Neptune moves into Aries and Pluto is fixed in Aquarius, those two energies are going to be working very well together and easy flowing. So a lot of things that have been stagnant are now going to get broken loose on a social level. So we're going to see more motion from groups of people. We're going to see more dynamic behaviors from groups of people.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's a trip. It's a trip. I've been waiting for it for a while, thank fuck, and it's almost here. So
what's your advice on navigating this upcoming period?
You know, what I've been talking about a lot lately is where we're at now. It's all about getting your ducks in a row internally, because when these opportunities come up, you don't want to be on the fence. You got to be ready to go. This is the prep time. And when all this fires off over the next, we'll say 6 to 7 months total, when all this fires off, if you're not prepared, you're going to miss opportunities. You're going to be left out of the loop. And it's that old phrase, luck is when preparation meets opportunity. So now's the prep time. The opportunities will come up during that window. And if you're not prepared, you're going to miss out. And that's just going to be the end of it. We were talking earlier about people with technology. I don't like the fact that everything is going technological, but I will say that the people that resist it are going to be left behind, and it's their own fault at the end of the day because they chose not to adapt to what's coming down the pipe. Does that mean I like the idea that I have to adapt technologically? Hell no, I'd rather delegate that shit. But kind of stuck having to learn it. It's kind of the same way here. When these opportunities come astrologically, if you're not prepared, you're going to be a follower, not a leader. And that's okay, but know your place, know your role, stay in your lane.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know, it's interesting because my personal impulse is like, screw the technology. I'm going to sit on my back porch and let the world burn around me. But
right,
I love doing what I do, that if I saw an opportunity to do what I do at an enhanced level, to reach more people or to be able to communicate at a more effective level, my passion for what I do might supersede my own personal desire to stay away from the tech.
Exactly. I would love nothing better to be so retired that I use an old clamshell that doesn't even have Wi-Fi, text and phone only, but I'm not there, and society's probably not going that direction anytime soon. So I got to suck it up, check that part of the ego, and focus on what matters.
Yep. Awesome.
Just keeping it in the balance. You know, it's okay to have a phone, right? But we don't have to have it in our hands all the time. turning it off, put it in the Faraday cage, or whatever. Just, you know what I mean? So being in the balance, which, it's Lucifer's thing. So one of the first things I learned, I think, was the balance, just being in the balance. There's no sense trying to resist everything that's coming, because we're here and we're going to have to adapt and be part of it. So, but being in the balance, you don't want to be too much. You don't want to be sitting there playing video games all day or whatever, right? Your time and place for things, and it's okay. A little bit moderation, a little bit here and there, and try to balance it all out, so that we have a full and rich life, essentially, and so that's where it comes down to each individual of what that looks like, so each day try to make it better, so if you have addictions, or if you have a little bit here, try to chip at it a little bit here and there, and hopefully you'll be able to get to that place where you can say, yeah, I'm in the balance, I'm good, I feel good, I'm content. That's the thing. That's the key word, is contentment. No matter how many zeros you got in your bank account or what you got going on, as long as you're content and you're happy, that's all that matters, So I hope that people who are watching got something out of this, and like I said, if you got questions, put them down in the comment section down below. Now, before we leave, why don't you guys tell us what you guys got coming up here, personally here, or work or whatever that you got coming up. So I don't know who wants to go. Bill, do you want to go first?
Yeah. All right, so I've got my next spell book is going to be coming out right around Christmas, maybe just a little after Christmas, and this is going to be social engineering. So this is persuasion and influence spells, and so I've gotten together with Martin McGregor and Andrea Vitamus and myself that are writing this. So this is going to be awesome. It's really with a topic like persuasion magic. That's really any kind of magic. Whether you're persuading yourself, or you're persuading the universe, or you're persuading your boss or your lover, whatever it is, every kind of magic is persuasion. And so that's been really fun to write the book from that view of being more conscious of that's actually what you're doing. You're trying to persuade yourself to whatever it is that you want to try to do. So it's been a fun book to write. I've finished up my part, and it is off to the editor at this point. So I'm super excited for that. And just check out all my stuff, becomealivinggod.com. I've always got new stuff coming out.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, in the secular community, they call it manifestation. So it's sort of the same kind of thing, right? But it's just different wording on how you put it or look at it. But yeah, absolutely, it does work. So yeah. How about you, Bill? What you got going on?
Real quick, the manifestation, it does work even if you don't think you're doing it. You're manifesting things all the time, and so just get conscious about it.
Exactly. And like EA, I've got a couple of books on the horizon. Coming up in the next few weeks will be a book called Ubiquitous Consciousness. And it's all about the higher self, the ascended self, the holy guardian angel. But to create context, I also talk about the transmigration of souls. And I talk about the fact that striving higher is something we as a species have been doing since day one. And it's reflected in our creation myths. So a big chunk of the book is creation myths from around the globe, showing that there has always been this part of us that wants something higher or better for ourselves. So that's book number one. And then the second one's coming out through Beneficia Publishing, probably shortly after that. It's going to be called The Axle of the Wheel. It's a collection of my articles I wrote for the Dolmen Chronicles digital magazine online. But we're going to break it down to a Wheel of the Year format. So you will see examples of what's going on astrologically around the 8-spoked Wheel of the Year festival cycle. So every year when you come up to it, you have an idea of what's going on energetically, even if you don't follow astrology particularly closely.
Right on. That sounds very, very interesting.
I just want very cool. Everybody learn ubiquitous.
There you go. That's a word I don't even want to try to say, but Right on. Well, for myself, we got next week. We got the Halloween giveaway show. So if you guys are new and you're not sure, I do have a official entry video. To just comment on there, and you can enter the draw for free. Okay, I should probably give you the link in here for that video here. If you guys want to go and jump in there. Watch the video. It will explain everything, and then just comment on that video, and I will enter you into the draw that will be picked live next Sunday. Okay. Now, anybody that shows up to the show in costume on screen here will get a sticker pack sent to you. But you can come on without costume as well if you just want to come up, hang out, tell some stories, whatever. It's going to be low key, very casual, and so I hope to see you guys next Sunday. For that. Yeah, that should be cool. And then November, I think I'm going to return with more on the Anunnaki. I'm going to study a little bit more on the Anunnaki. Kind of gotten on a little trend on that. Kind of want to know where we come from, trying to figure things out, So, and I think the Anunnaki, the fallen angels, it's all connected there, So I think... yeah, so we're going to check that out some more in November here. But yeah, thank you all for watching. Make sure you hit that thumbs up and share this out. Subscribe if you haven't. And then go and check these guys. His links are down below here for YouTube and all the other websites and stuff like that. Go and check them out. And I guess that's all she wrote for this week. Thank you so much for coming on. It was an honor to have you guys here. And
Thank you for the opportunity. It's always nice to chat. We did it 6 months ago. We might as well look at 6 months in the future.
For sure.
So yeah, let's do it again in spring and see if we're still here.
Right.
Let's do it. Yeah, no,
What's
absolutely.
going on? How many arms do you have? Are we still here? Yeah, I don't know.
Cool. Awesome. Well, happy Halloween, guys. It's been awesome chatting with you.
Yeah, happy Halloween, everybody. We'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.
Bye.